Year 2002, 19 years ago. Look at these damn graphics. It's the game everyone liked as a child, but it was this game in reality. What the fuck is this? The damn car is literally spinning. It was the game with no minimap where you had to open the map in the middle of the road, and the game wouldn't even pause. Some might recognize this fucking mission. It's the mission that everyone at least failed 3 times. It was the biggest nightmare of its time. Now they made a definitive edition of that game. Yeah, look at these graphics. This place now looks like this. This is now this. I'm gonna cry. It's so nice to see gaming develop. But to be honest, I never really played the original game, so this video won't be fully focused on original versus remake, unfortunately. But for the people that might not know, the original game was extremely liked by the reviewers. I repeated it 10 times, the original one was good, so I'm just going to jump into the definitive edition. I know what you're thinking now. This game came out 1 year ago, why are you reviewing it now? Shut the fuck up, alright? It's because I just finished the game like a week ago. To be honest, I was actually impressed. One other thing I can tell you is that I finished it in only 2 days. Yeah, that's right, I sat down for 10 hours and finished the game just in 2 days. I don't know if anyone doesn't know the story, but the game story is basically there's a taxi driver named Tommy, and the story begins with him accidentally meeting Mafia members and having to save their ass from the other family, whether he wants to or not. This Tommy boy then finds himself into the Mafia, and in the blink of an eye becomes Don Salieri's man. Then the story expands around Tommy's life. You begin to fight the other mobsters, steal cars, bomb cars, and the story makes you fall in love with it. Mafia series is basically a story mode based action game. I repeat, it's a story mode game. Yeah, it does have an amazing map where you can drive cars and stuff, but there's nothing else to do in the map. The game doesn't even let you freely in the map. So don't imagine it as something like GTA or Mafia 3. Just think it as a game with no open world. For the people that might be interested in the open world, there's a mode called Free Ride where you just steal cars and hit people. Same GTA logic. However, I don't want you to think that we would not appreciate the open world's visuals. I like the city so much in the game, dude. I'm going to be honest with you, this game's city is probably in the top 3 cities I've seen in the games. They did just a little different map than the original one, but they still made it amazing with one word. The views, visuals, graphics are so damn smooth. It was enjoyable in every second when you drive with a car in the city. By the way, speaking of cars, did I tell you how different the dynamics are? I never lived in the 30s, so I don't know how real it is, but the more experienced people say this is how the driving was back in the day. You feel that all-time steering wheel's difficulty. The game takes place in the 30s, and the wheel feels so much heavier compared to the cars now. But driving them also gives a different joy too. Just letting you know in case you want to buy the game. Now let's do something just a little different and compare the original versus the new one. But in this one I won't include graphics since it's obvious that the older one will win. Just kidding. For example, the developers added some new stuff and excluded some stuff from the new one. Let's give an example. In the original game we used to have this annoying thing in the left bottom corner. It showed our friend's health. Now it's gone in the new one. So they're no more dying like they used to 20 years ago. From my own experiences from GTA San Andreas, this was something extremely annoying. You had to worry about the mission itself and those stupid AIs next to you. They were driving you crazy. Another good example would be shooting from inside the car. This feature wasn't here in the game. So if you were driving the car, you couldn't shoot the target, your friends would. And that's also fixed now. It's much better now. In the original one, police was super annoying. Now there isn't even a police system. Of course you can turn it on from the settings. Of course these were not the only things that changed. All in all, Mafia is a story game, not an action game. Of course there's action too, but within the storyline. The storyline changed a little bit, but in a matter of that it wouldn't affect the whole portrait. You'll understand what I mean in a second. For example, Sarah's and Tommy's relationship is now much more meaningful. I never realized this since I never played the original, nor watched it, but I can surely say that at least 95% of the reviewers I watch mention this. Because now Sarah is another character herself, unlike the original one. Another thing they changed are the dialogues. But no worries, just the dialogues. It's just the little differences that don't change the main story. So what they say is the same, but in different ways. For example, in one of the scenes, Salieri comments his guys to beat some people up and he says, make sure they need wheelchairs, even the children will laugh when they see them. But in the new one, he says, beat them up so good that even their mom will not recognize them. So, do you understand what I mean? Like these kind of changes. Characters. Now let's shortly discuss the characters. Firstly, to begin with Polly. Even though I never played the original one, I somewhat know his character from the original game. Polly was a dude that could stand on his own 2 feet. If you played the game, you'd realize that Polly was always a dude who had a business and people that owed him. So he was sort of a boss himself in the town too. He was a serious guy. But in the new game, he has more of a comedic characteristic. I wouldn't actually call it a comedic, I would call it dummy. Like the word dummy actually describes his characteristic so well. He now acts like a crazy little child. We should add his own thing to the story, but I would like to call this a Hollywood effect. If you watched at least some Hollywood movies, you'd realize that there's always this one person that stays somewhat out of the seriosity. I don't have any other comments on the characters. It was good overall. Just the Polly thing grabbed my attention and I wanted to mention it. Conclusion. I'll grade it out of 10 later, but I want to mention this first. Many people played the game with nostalgic feelings. So they played the game when they were 10 and now they're playing a game when they're 30. But I didn't have that feeling, so you can be sure that I won't be biased when grading. The game overall was amazing, like I said before. I did genuinely enjoy the gameplay. It was just 10 hours, that was kinda short, because that could be a problem since you'd expect something longer for its price. But no lies, I had a damn fun time. However, if you don't like Mafia genre games like me, you might not like it. This game is like one of the few Mafia games out there, so I did play it with different feelings. But like I said before, if you're not interested in Mafia, then it might not be interesting for you. But Mafia was a game that felt different in every part and you'll be dragged into the story so fast. Then you'll drift in the story for so long that even after 1 week you finish the game, you'll think about it. I'm still thinking about the end, by the way. It was amazing. No spoilers. But my overall point for the game would be somewhere between 7.5 and 8.2 or something like that. Because it wasn't a game that deserves 9 or 10. Let's be honest here. After all, it's just a normal action game at the end of the day. Just decorated with a story. So I think 8 is a perfect score for the gameplay. But if we also consider the price, well, that's now a problem. I'll drop it to 7.5 then. But unfortunately, I can say that this game will probably not be a classic that people will be thinking about after years. So it is sad from that perspective, but there's nothing to do. Because those type of games take years and millions of dollars to develop. I can see that effort wasn't given to this one. But we got to only enjoy what we have. And if you're a Mafia series fan, then you should check the game out. You must check it out. Maybe not now, but sometime soon. When you have money, basically. Oops, that means never.
Everything I've done, both good and bad, I've done for my family.